everyone, and welcome to another spruce-tacular episode of El Inadaptado del Anime, where we do our due diligence to get out a topical video many months later. Oh yeah! Seriously, how do you guys pump out a video like that in only a week? God. Leaving those niblets aside, the winter season finished airing a while ago, and now it's time to talk about this juicy anime. Spoiler alert, I really like the show. But I'll do my best to curb such positive emotion in order to give a focused critique. At least I'll try, considering I kept procrastinating on this video to the point where I want to literally claw my creative juices afloat just so I can finally have that potato salad. Look, I just got back from working out at the time of writing, my body is tired, and I'm irritable from this hold on. Alright, we're past a minute. This dumbass diet. So, let's just start this sweaty review before I ring fit this knuckle sandwich in the face of the first thing I see. Our tale today takes place in the wonderful land of who gives a flying Fantasyland, as we follow the misadventures of Stank & Co. on their quest to get the best out of shagging it. In a land where every type of race, monster, and bioweapon is out there, these bold, nay, brave heroes made it their mission to find out which girl is best girl, which fetish is the freshest, and why your waifu can beat up your friend's waifu outside of Denny's. In order to accomplish such a feat, this gang storms the finest sucky joints established to screw, review, and repeat. Now, before we get to the angelic elephant in the room, I would like to discuss this show without all the hanky-panky first. When you boil down this show to its basic parts, it comes out being a series with a lot of depth subtly squeezed in, which I feel needs more credit than it's given. Each episode mostly starts the same. Stank and the boys talking alien eats about the monster girl they want to embrace, head to the establishment specializing in said monster girl or fetish, which explains how they operate, do the deed, write the review, and post it back at the tavern, all while fun hijinks ensue. The plot's pace is very slice of life in that manner, so I found the show sound in its foundations. I never had to worry about the show smacking me with globs of exposition, because it does a great job giving you the gist of what's going on, so the more complex junk can have breathing room. In fact, I would go on to say that this complex junk brings the show's world into an entirely new level. But I'm getting ahead of myself, as it's time to just rip off that band-aid and address the four of you in the house who haven't heard Corn Swabble of this show. This is a show about sex. This is the D&D equivalent of taking Yelp reviewers to the red light district and hope daybreak comes disease-free. In this world, sex workers, or suck you girls, are a prominent part of the culture, and the phrase too hot for television is now an understatement given what the show has gone through IRL. But we will get to that in due time. All you need to know now is that this show walks the confusing line between so sexual that it can't compare to other ecchi series, but has too much narrative to be called with plot. Taking the infamous uncensored version of episode 3 into account, and I think everyone can agree that, yup, that's some penetration right there. Where I'm trying to get at is how more visually expressive the anime is than its manga. Therefore, it's no-brainer that the expectations from a production standpoint would be fucked. No pun intended. But that's not to say all of the anime-only changes were sexual, as I also enjoyed what I'd like to call reviewer imagery very much. You see, after we get the needed flavor text about a certain sucky joint, the characters would then tell us their reviews in these almost dreamlike sequences. In episode 7, there was the egg-laying toy machine, while episode 6 has that light wisp parade in the sky. These were super goofy, over the top, and clever to describe what was going on, and I thought they paired well with other visual gags that do show up in the manga. They also assist in coloring the show's world building, in which, hot damn, this goes beyond getting to download on tropes and making them work in a fantasy world. This is straight up Sim 4 levels of detail, but without all the crummy paywalls. I find it impressive how accessible the anime was able to give more information about the world for those wanting to know. From the world's politics to how each monster girl personally feels about the entire industry. Most things can be explained in the show either by funny mouth jargon or visual cues. It makes the world more alive than just a place where the smexy smex happens. At least for me, that's what I got from the series more in some cases when the hanky-panky didn't jive my ovaries. Actually, let's talk about that a little more because I feel that's important to my personal perspective. I, as a 20-something, bi-curious, healthy, hopefully, female, do enjoy my array of ecchis and now and again, but since the majority of this adult market is geared towards all you chads in the house, I feel like I got to settle for the flavored waifu of the week. Vanillas get boring, reverse harems don't do enough in dire times, and the extremists in the yaoi fandom can suck my brown baker sweet taco for trying to preach to me why a female character can't be in a show for longer than 5 fucking seconds, because that would be breaking the fantasy. Like, are you fucking joking? The Anime Misfit does not condone or enable the idea that all yaoi fans are horrible members of society. Just the bitchy minority that tries to shove their propaganda towards an uncomfortable degree. The following disclaimer is to assert the message that not every person is a dick in a fandom. Blah 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 blah, I've made my point. You know what I'm saying? If there was a spin-off with female adventurers trying to review male sucky joints, then I'd probably be even more horny for it. I won't lie about my carnal degeneracy, but I appreciate the show in episode 3 for saying those types of places theoretically exist, and that the series can be added to the small pile of shows who share the sentiment that females can be disgustingly horny too, and that's okay. The point is, when smexy times aren't enough for me, I can fall back on the show's awesome world building because it's dense, easy to digest, and optional if you just care about pervy guys doing pervy things. These pervy guys in question are a wonderful cast of intentional stereotypes. The main trio of Stank, Zell, and Krim do well to both illustrate the sexual themes of the show, but generally feel like a group of adventurers that have real conversations between one another. For anyone who watched the series already, you'll understand the relatability to talking to your bros about dick jokes, comparisons, fetishes, all while ripping jokes at each other along the way. It's nice. Stank as both the driving force of the group and the human representative of which we the audience can relate to does well in his job as the perverted Chad with subtle badassery. At first glance, his snarky bravado may seem like a turnoff, wondering how a scruffy guy like him can get such great rapport, and yet, I always get the playful feeling that you can't just hate the guy. When it's time to shut up and face monsters, or women, he puts his money where his mouth is and comes out triumphant by taking his reviews and personal ideology very seriously. Kind of endearing in a way. I'd even go as far as to say he's boyfriend material for me because I like that laid-back humor and perverted angles in my men. Though, personally, he's second place in the face of Zell, there's no contest. Zell is the veteran elf pervert who's lived way longer than the rest of the cast, and that maturity comes with various bonuses for his character. His sluttier taste in women pairs well with how he carries himself as the magic archer and wingman. He's already past the point of trying to figure out what he likes, so he can just spend more time enjoying his friends that come and go in his life. Besides the obvious appeal in his character design, kind of, I like Zell's seasoned nature the best because he can be chill and a bit of a slutty romantic with the right partner. 2 thumbs up for me. If Stank is the group's driving force, then Krim, who I refuse to attempt his full name, is the show's driving force, as a lot of the show is from his perspective. Our new worldly experiences as the audience is reflected in Krim's ever-changing views on sex. He's a good-natured kid whose perverted potential rivals his curiosity. Plus, having resistances to every element except dark in tandem with his large elephant trunk gives him more to work with, alright. Also, as this show's straight man, Krim is cute to watch, always getting wrapped up in new sexual escapades with the boys, and over time, finding that he does enjoy the fanfare. However, being the type that likes the innocent submissive, I personally couldn't go for him. I mean, he straight up looks like he's 10, and thinking about one's consciousness during sex is a fate down the path of Awkwardville. And that's why I'm glad the little devil type exists. And fiction. Besides the main trio, the reviewers also encompass a rotating side cast of sausages who all serve their purposes depending on the sex worker that week. And I'm only going to be talking about the two that matter since the others rarely show up more than once. Conchel, the halfling, is a living embodiment of every Spencer's department store ever. Looks like he's trying too hard to be something on the outside, but gets raunchier the deeper you tread. The little Shet gets the most screen time out of all of the side reviewers, and I can see why, but besides his sadistic trope, there's not really much to him. Same can be said for the other reviewer, Bruce the Dogman, being the chubby chasing type. It makes sense with his species and personality, but I feel kind of bad for the guy, since he tends to get the short end of the stick at Sunky joints for the sake of the joke. But like I said, there's not much else to them or even most of the characters. Even Stank, one of the main characters, has inklings of backstory the series hints at, but doesn't desire to spell it out. And yet, on the other hand, I like the fact that the show doesn't spoon feed you every single detail. I guess what I'm trying to say is, don't use the series' world building as a roadmap for your next in-depth college debate about the sex industry and why prostitution should be legalized or something. Then you start looking like that Yahoo in the room who got too much out of them Chinese cartoons, like another group of people that believe how this show got pulled down because of some SJW conspiracy, blah 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 blah. So let's just talk about the animation now, because this controversy is already straining my brain and I have to get to it eventually, but I really don't. But hey, that's video making for you. Okay, animation time! Passione made this little gem, founded 9 years ago according to good old Wikipedia, and you can easily see a trend of their art design if you've watched their handful of shows. Interspecies Reviewers, High School DxD Hero, and Citrus all share this peachy color palette, like a fruity lipstick commercial, just with more fluids. And boy, this show knows how to make fluids appealing. This soft tone to the show keeps the atmosphere lighthearted and way more appropriate for its goals than in DxD's case, where making the show look softer made it look more generic. In its defense, I guess you can say Passione's distinct style is best when animating IPs from the start and not when it needs to take over. But you can say that for a lot of popular series in the same boat. At least the animation style is distinct enough to stand out and not like the millions of people opening new studios every fucking season. It's so hard to keep up with it now. But guess what isn't as hard to keep up with? That opening! Ikose Paradise is now in the category of the openings we do not skip. It's a great example of how to do an ensemble song right. Maybe not on the meme levels of Bland S's opening, but infectious enough for multiple listens. The soundtrack isn't to write home about really, except for that one piano tune that plays during the smexy stuff. But hey, who's here to focus on the soundtrack when you can just... Wait a minute. Yeah, this is much better. So, I'm gonna eat this taco for a bit. In the meantime, subscribe to the channel if you also like taco breaks, and enjoy another edition of Community Corner. And now it's time for another fun-filled segment of Community Corner, the time where I highlight other outlets in the anime community in hopes that other people will have a look-see. Who we have here today is a person I've been meaning to get to. His editing is great, you could talk to him for hours, and his helmet is shiny. When he has the time, Kaiser Trigger, I would like to say, is a man who commentates on the finer things in the anime community. He's pretty good at getting out topical treasure troves of word spaghetti, whether that be in the form of anime titties or the worst moments in anime controversy. When not gracing us with his own content, you might be seeing his editing work on a certain channel about nut tacos, or yours truly. Either way, his special brand of comedy is fun. If you're someone who likes a person who can go the distance all while rubbing one out for the boys, then head on over to youtube.com/KaiserTrigger and toss a coin to your waifu. But seriously, Kaiser, thanks for your advice and constructive criticism. It's really helping me become a better AniTuber. Now, if you know of any other creative outlets in this world of anime, comment about them down below or at AMShannon on Twitter with the hashtag CommunityCorner and tell me all about it. In this time where community is more important than ever, while I may be one girl on the internet, I will always try my best. Before I wrap up this video, I want to say a few things about the controversy because that was the main reason I even looked at the show in the first place. In retrospect, the show getting cancelled on 2 Japanese networks, Amazon and Funimation, was both expected and not that big of a deal. Yeah, it sucks we lost the dub, but it still aired on other networks in Japan and it was there to watch subbed if you could find it. Funimation's wording of their response I'd wish been better articulated, but my friend Gigi has a point that realistically, they didn't need to give us an explanation at all. So personally, it's up to us customers whether it helps or hurts our willingness to support them financially. I think everyone and their mother knew the show was going to have problems, and yet some attempts to express our opinions did get a little excessive. I'm mostly talking about the Mal versus Nuxtaku thing, which credit to your boy, taking in all that heat took some balls. I'd rather see people express their opinion for a show this way than going on Twitter and trying to harass the production crews who have no say in the matter. Regardless, Nuxtaku did put a target on his back for being the main face of this whole shebang. Yes, there were other anti-tubers like Noble, but do I think Mal's response was completely unwarranted? No. But the changes in the rules was childish on their part. One more shout out goes to What's video on the subject in that some weird way gave me personal insight on how the anime got a little too much to my head. Was there even a point like that in What's video? Most likely not, but the hype juice makes you do some dumb things sometimes. On the contrary, I must disagree with a sentiment seemingly expressed in What's video that a big YouTuber like Nuxtaku must use his large influence for better uses, like promoting nonprofits and such. With good intentions, that's what we all like to hope that one of us who gets big does. But with all due respect, no one, and I mean no one, should have to be obligated to do such a thing if they forget or it's not on their minds. Suggesting to these YouTubers ideas or expressing our opinion is cool and all, but at the end of the day, I prefer it if a desire to help charities comes from their own violation and not only after the fact because they got hounded so much to do it. That's all I'm saying, what? That's the impression I got from your video, and I say it from a decent place. What surprises me most is that despite the good quality of the anime, I don't quite agree with what others are saying that it's superior to the manga. I'd rather say both mediums do a better job as the other at emphasizing different aspects. The anime better fleshes out the imagery and sexual content, while the manga I think does better at world and character building. Depending on what you want more of and how much sexual content you want to experience will factor into which version you'll go for. Either way, Interspecies Reviewers is a show I think most adults would get a kick out of. It never takes itself seriously, it's more in-depth for those who want to look deeper, and even as a female watcher who was concerned I would be sexually pushed out of the conversation, I found enjoyment in the sexual content that never made me feel like I had to settle. So after 69 reasons why I need to get more smut in my life, I award Interspecies Reviewers with a recommendation to try it and a watchability rating of M for mature. The main reason I'm saying try it is not just because it's a good show, yada yada yada, but that the Blu-ray will be the only way to watch this in decent form. I swear after the controversy exploded did the use of fade to black become more commonplace. Look, we all knew it was going to be censored for TV, but sometimes it might as well have been a fucking audiobook. Good luck, however, trying to find an affordable Blu-ray since the prices at the time of this video run about $140 on eBay. As for watchability, say it with me now. This is a show about sex. Please don't pull a Walmart Higurashi, all you parents out there, and think that this show isn't being blatant in its material, because it's all that and a sack of potatoes. But happy humping anyway, all you wiggling shrimps out there. This video took way too long to make, and I'm glad to be done. Being in quarantine zaps you of every desire to do anything except Animal Crossing, but I am determined to use this time wisely. Post in the comments below if you found the anime or manga to be better, as I am highly curious to this talking point. I'm rooting for the manga to win, but no pressure. Yada spalata, follow my Twitch, Twitter, and Discord to find more misfits like you. While you do all that, I now have to head face first into a show about teddy bears who won't stop eating people. It's gonna get squishy, y'all. Shannon out.